All right, y'all. Here we go again, off on another day. Been busy. Actually busier than usual lately. Trying to work in the woods and do that and do the trucking, and then trying to catch up on the farm stuff. I'm still working on doing hay. I know I'm about a month behind everybody else, but just the way it worked out when I needed to be cutting hay, I was, driving a truck hauling stuff, so it didn't work out. But I've been working on cutting and baling for the last couple of weeks. We ended up trading in the smaller tractor, getting a 4066M, and that thing is awesome. Uh, wish I'd have done it a long time ago or got one of them to start with or whatever. But here we are. The only problem with it is it doesn't have the hydraulic remotes on the back, and they're on back order. Who didn't see that coming? So I can cut with it, rake with it, bush hog, all those things. Just can't bale hay with it, unfortunately. But we ended up 2 weeks ago, I think, that Sunday that I was trying to cut hay before we traded the tractor and all. It took me, like 6 hours to cut, I don't know, 2, maybe 3 acres. Yeah, I don't know, maybe 4 acres, somewhere along there, but not a lot, not a lot at all. But with that old sickle bar mower and as thick as that hay was, I mean, it was, you know, over top of the tractor tires. I mean, it was almost, you know, eye level with you. Come up to about here walking out in it. So it was thick. And again, I let it go, longer than I needed to because I just didn't have time to get over there and do it. So that made it, a little tougher. It is a little tougher. But I mean, that and using that old Massey Ferguson, uh, I really like old tractors and things like that. But the downfall of it is you don't have many gears. You don't have much of a gear range. It has three low, but in high range, three high. Well, those are automatically out of the question for doing, work. And, you know, the third gear on the low side is a little bit fast. So really you only got two gears, first or second gear to use, cutting and baling hay, unless it was extremely thin or something. But, first gear, cutting with that old mower, it was a 9 foot, bind. So you could make a 9 foot swipe, but it just takes so long doing it. And I had so many problems. A couple of teeth got broke. Some of the guides come loose. I had to tighten them up. One of them, the bolts are stripped, so I couldn't tighten it up. So I ended up having to get a grinder and just cut the bolts and take it off. And, then by the end of it, it was dark. It was trying to rain. The chain kept coming off. It turns the reel on the bind. I had to put that on 100 times. And then finally, the little arm that comes out of the gearbox that connects to the sickle bar that makes it cut, it's got, a pin goes through it, and it's got, the two ends on it like that where you put a bolt through it where you can take the pin in and out. One of those ears broke off of that. So it's just, shut down today. So, I'm going to fix it back. I got the part. I haven't fixed it yet, but you know how it goes. Uh, I'm gonna fix it back, but I went ahead and got a new mower. I got one of the disc mowers that hooks to the 3 point hitch. Just makes it so much easier. It's a smaller one though. It's only like five and something a cut, but that's what I could buy at the time. The 7 foot cut would be like $4,000 higher than the 5 foot was. So, and I ended up getting a Kubota mower just because they had it in stock. And usually I buy everything John Deere or through John Deere, but they didn't have one in stock, and I didn't have time to wait on it. I needed one now, and they had one, so I ended up going with that, which I do really like. It's I hadn't used it a whole lot yet, but I finished cutting what I need to cut with it, and it does a good job. And as fast as you can stay in the tractor seat, it'll eat it. The Kubota mowers has 3 blades on it, where one's always over front cutting when it turns, where a lot of them, like my father-in-law's old disc vine, it's only got 2 blades straight across from each other. So you got, that much of a rotation that doesn't have a blade cutting. So anyway, ended up getting that. So hopefully it will speed our hay production up quite a bit, because, like I said, cutting with those old vines really takes a lot of time. Also, with the disc mower, if the hay's a little wet, it doesn't bother it. You can still cut. If it's dark where it's got a little damp, a little dew on it, doesn't matter. You can still cut with it. And the mower cut really good. Like I said, some of this stuff, I mean, I don't know what it was. A buddy of mine said he thought it was Johnson grass, but it kind of looks like a stalk of corn, but not nowhere near as big. But it's kind of made like that, and it was about eye level with me. It was taller and thicker than any of it, so it would cut in a little bit, and then you just have to back up and lift the mower up and let it come down, because it was just binding up in there. But the mower never stopped cutting, and again, it's only a 5 foot cut, but it never backed that 4066 down. I did some bush hogging around it, and around the field and all, finishing up. Uh, Mine's only a 5 foot bush hog, but it didn't back down any gear you put it in. It's got 3 ranges, A, B, and C. I used B, 1, 2, and 3 mostly. Where the field was smooth enough to use it, and it didn't matter. I probably got a little hard on the bush hog, but I cut some of them little sweet gum trees like that with it, that were grown up, yay high or whatever. I let the bush hog up, and then I'd go over and clip the top out of it, and then I'd pull up and let the bush hog down, and then back up, cut the stump part lower. But whatever it put in there, it eat it. It didn't back down a bit. And the I'm gonna have to do an in-depth review of that 4066, but I really like that thing. It is so nice having that shuttle shift or power reverser transmission where you don't have to use the clutch or anything. Uh, Again, not having to use the clutch, it gives it a live PTO. You just turn the PTO on, and it doesn't matter you forward, backwards, hit the clutch, whatever, it doesn't stop. Where the 3043D didn't do that. You had to push the clutch every time you changed gears, or every time you shifted from forward to reverse. And every time you hit the clutch, it would stop. So when you're bush hogging, most of the time you're going around a lot of stuff. So you got to stop and reverse, to get close around things a lot of times. So every time you did, it would stop, it would start back. I didn't really have any problems with it, but I just didn't like that. It seemed that it would be really different, really hard on the, PTO shaft, the gearboxes, the whole 9 yards, starting and stopping like that every time you move. Also, the loader picks up a lot more, and it picks a lot higher, which is something that is nice. And the tractor's bigger, don't get me wrong, but it's not a huge amount bigger. It's sets up really good in my opinion. I loaded the hay with it. If y'all have seen that flatbed trailer I got for the big truck, it sits tall. It sits tall. I wish it was one of the lower ones. It would be easier to work with, but uh, I don't know if putting smaller tires on it might help or what. But I probably just deal with it like it is because we're getting by. But I could load, the bottom layer with mine, the 3043D, and couldn't load the second bale up high with it. It just wouldn't reach that high. Now this one I can do it, but it's not ideal. It's not perfect. Like my father-in-law's got a bigger one. He got a 5 Series 5603 or something like that. I mean, it'll go, plenty high to go, stack it too high like that. But what I did when I load the bottom layer and then go to the top, I would catch the bale, below the middle of it at the very bottom of it, where it would give me a little more pickup. And then I'd tilt it up like that and kind of get it over top of them and then flatten it out and then back out. I mean, I say it's got the lift, max as high as it'll go, just kind of using the curl part for that. But again, I was able to do that. That if you don't have something high enough to reach to unload them, they push off easy off of the top like that. But if you had a low spot in the field or a bank or anything like that, you could pull the truck in and then keep the tractor on the higher part. That would help too. But this was just doing it flat. No helping whatever. Like I said, putting the truck in a low spot or a bank or anything like that, it would lift that high. This is a 48-foot flatbed, great name model trailer, and it's got the 11R 24.5s on it, so they are a tall tire. But on the back, it would lift. It had more clearance on the back than it did on the front. And I tell you why. You don't think that makes any sense, but it does. Because on the truck, my truck, like most trucks now, is air ride, so the airbags are pumped up. So when you go to load the front, just get in the truck and drop your airbags down, and that'll get you about 4 inches or so lower, maybe more than that. But it'll give you some more room to work with. But anyway, hopefully I can get some more videos out here soon. Just trying to get everything done. It gets kind of overwhelming sometimes because, I mean, every day pretty much at minimum is 12 hours. Sometimes it runs 14. Sometimes it even runs 16 hours. And it doesn't give you a lot of time to do anything. But anyway, that's all for this one. Stay prayed up, prepped up, and strapped up. See ya.